They don't have the water in the steam. So that was a big plus. I like my shirts to look crisp. I only wear the crispest shirts and the...
Freshest,
I can't remember
whatever.
the rest of the meme. But
Yeah, I don't know. The freshest clothes and the
I'm not cool enough to know it, obviously, so...
Our memory's going at our old ages, Tim. Screwed.
Is.
Absolutely screwed.
Do you want to watch some more Siege, though?
Should we talk about some more Siege, Tim? Let's do it. Go on, then.
Let's do it. We're heading into Cafe. It's going to be map 2 between SSG and Wolves. If you're only just joining us, that first map was on Clubhouse, and SSG, after a 5-1 start to things, managed to just get it over the line 7-5 after a good fight back from Wolves. So I'm sure we're in for another close affair here on Cafe. The band's reigning in. Monte, Ying, Solis will be our first 3, and Mira will round things out.
Yeah, Wolves have a real hate-hate relationship with Mira. I look back at the stats again for the previous map of Clubhouse. I think on 8 of the last 10 times they've played that map, they banned Mira on the defensive side. And it wouldn't shock me if the other 2 times was the enemy team banning it away. They just do not want to play against Mira under any circumstance. Admittedly, the maps do weigh into it. Cafe, I think, as we all know, especially on that top floor, she can be so oppressive. So just having her taken away, the C4 removed, all the rest of it, definitely nothing to be complaining about too much if you're on the side of Wolves. SSG, though, as we said, will start on the attacking side. And for me, there's going to be a lot told in this first half because attack is where both teams have struggled. Many suspected that coming into this major. I was talking a little bit about it last night with like a little podcast. It was quite fun with me, Xenox, Guz, and Fresh. And Fresh was saying this may be the event or a major event where you see the highest defender win rate given how the meta currently sits. And at least with how the map has played out so far, or the series has played out so far, yeah, Fresh is looking pretty right. See how things carry on, though, here. Let's get into round 1. It's going to be on that Reading and Fireplace site, Tim.
Yes, we're not going to top floor.
For your health.
I've said it countless times over the years. It's always, seen as like a primary site choice, is the top floor. But when you look at the stats over the years, it is very rarely statistically the best defensive side. Reading tends to be much higher, as does so we are going to see Wolves taking us down there. Got the Valkyrie now. I love a good Valkyrie cam. We're going to see them applied to that top floor. Looks like they're going to be playing to keep hold of it as well with the reinforcements, bulletproofs, everything else. They're going to try and keep themselves established up on that top floor. You don't want to give those verticals up, especially not too soon, because you're going to get hammered from above, generally speaking. Although, that being said, there's not a lot of soft breach available on the side of SSG. They're pretty much limited to those Rotero drones of Flores.
Well, obviously you can burn through tons if you want to with the Habana. Just keep plugging away.
Yeah,
two pellets, 2 pellets, 2 pellets, 2 pellets. And no one can really deal with that, seemingly ever. The interesting one for me is with that Valkyrie on side, I thought we'd see a lot more IQ coming and getting matched up where a Valkyrie's left open. Given again, IQ's now got nades. Actually not a bad operator to bring. The problem with IQ, as always, though, is it's not really an operator that you plan for when you're thinking about comps that you want to bring along. Like every operator that SSG have brought along here has all been planned as part of the strat they want to bring to try and attack in towards this site against Wolves. Admittedly, not tons of insight to have against Wolves. They've only played this map once in the last 6 months, and that was against BDS in Stage 2. You mentioned it earlier on, SSG have played this map 6 times and only beaten Team Bliss and Wildcard on it. Outside of that, everything else has been a loss. So Wolves coming here into a map they don't really play for me against a weak map for SSG. It's kind of a, we think we're not great on this map, but we know you are equally nowhere near as good as we will be. Therefore, we've got no problem bringing you here and counter-stratting you to death. Good opening C4 comes through onto Ashen.
I absolutely love that Nitro toss. If you haven't tried it, take it away with you. Get it in your rank games. Up through the hatch, out onto the east window. Absolute beauty if you can hit it. That's exactly what Mowgli does. Deadshot loses his life along the way. Forrest is a pretty important operator at the minute. I mentioned that vertical destruction. Obviously, the Gridlocker's got the shotty and is able to do a little bit of that work that they might need. So Forrest certainly needs to be careful if they want him to keep hold of that top floor. But Shinker, with the use, I would guess, of those Valkyrie cams, is going to know exactly when and where, and takes down Fultz with the Nitro.
They have no idea Bib is there. He's about to get an absolute freebie here. Finds one for himself. Surely could round the corner and find one more. I believe it was Forrest who was working in just behind him at this point. Yep, there he is. At least he's got Bibi penned in, but you're down to a massive numbers disadvantage here. Going to find himself getting burnt out. Maybell just died to the fire here. Just about escapes. Forrest waiting for him to move. Will find his man and finally get the clean down, but as equally a trade on the main stairs as Mode gets hot and cold. A 1 versus 3 for SSG. The round has crumbled, Tim.
Yeah, it certainly has, and the thing you've got to look at is SSG haven't even really got beyond the first step. They haven't taken top floor control. They, they've kind of got it now, but they've kind of been given it, really, because Wolves just dropped away. At the point where Bibu died, they were like, you know what, we're 3 versus 1. We don't really need to sacrifice anybody else on the top floor. Just kind of let him do what he wants. We'll kill him when he comes to site. So, yeah, SSG never really able to get themselves going in that round. Didn't get any top floor control. Didn't really get a man advantage at any point. And Wolves just completely dominating that read in site. And as I say, that's one of the reasons that I like it so much. You've got those extra steps that you've got to go through before you can start thinking about that execute onto site. And teams will often struggle with it on the attack. Great use of intel as well from Wolves. You know, having the bulletproofs, having the Valkyrie cams, and sometimes they were kind of looking, they weren't in exactly the same position, so the bulletproof was looking all the way down into Cigar Shop, so it had a really nice view down there. But I think sometimes that placement, when you've got the Valkyrie cam nearby, looking at Cocktail specifically, attackers may come in and they'll recognise the bulletproof camera. And I think sometimes you can see that bulletproof and think, oh, you know, this can happen with other utility, but you see it and you think, we've got the information utility. Bulletproof's gone, sorted. And you don't think maybe they had a Valcam watching the same thing. Maybe they had it, you know, and so it survives and you get your nitros and you get your other things going on. But Wolves played that really well. Nice defense. They're going to move us on, this time to the top.
Ooh, not happy. Top floor.
No, we'll allow it for a second round.
I do like the approach they're taking here. It's really just a good night, Bibu. Shut down by Ashen there, who was ready for the spawn peak to come out. I believe it was actually SSG who were quite aggressive on their spawn peaks on the previous map of runouts coming out of Kitchen, for example, in round 1 from Hutton. Saw Ashen lurking out towards Strip an awful lot. Here, though, it's going to be aggression from Wolves onto the other side that draws first blood. And I was going to say, I like the setup they've got here because you've got the Azami on side. You've got the shield down from the Warden. You've got the castle. They really want to hold aggressively on towards the west side of this top floor and slow SSG down. But I feel losing the Wamai so early on, so now you're going to have less magnets to catch nades, for example. That's going to stink.
Yeah, it's not the ideal operator to be losing. I think it's a fine line between confidence and over-aggression. You know, if Bibu gets the kill, we're sat here saying, yeah, what a fantastic start. Wolves really taking the game to them. So it's certainly not going to be critical of it, but it's something that they just need to be careful of going forward. You know, you can't sort of let that then snowball round after round after round.
No.
You know, yep, you had a very good round 1. Bring that confidence in. Try to get the aggression at the beginning. Let SSG know that they're in a game. It hasn't worked out. It's still a site that you can hold on to in a 4v5.
Absolutely. And for now, for SSG, it's that kind of sniffing things out, figuring out, okay, what are we actually facing up against here? What's the play going to be? I know they've got this man advantage, and this is the best thing that teams can do. You get that first kill, you can play 1-for-1 trades and win the round. So slow things down, reassess the situation, and then make a call to get those more favorable gunfights going your way. But now, at least, Wolves have not backed away after losing that opening gunfight. Bibu clearly to them at least somewhat expendable, otherwise wouldn't have committed him towards those gunfights. B4 slowly being burnt through here, narrowly avoids the angle from Snow Door and will keep himself alive.
The Valkyrie is an interesting one that I'm watching at the minute. Deadshot playing underneath, brought the impact nades, has allowed him to make a rotation. Quite often, obviously, we'd see the Nitro on the Valk, but if you're going to play underneath with cams above, you're sort of playing for that denial of the plant, so an impact nade gives you 2 opportunities to do that. You can just blow out the feet of the planter, shoot up through the holes that you've created. You don't necessarily need that sort of instant kill from the Nitro in order to do the job, to achieve the objective that you've set out for. So Deadshot will continue working that underneath for the time being, but the push is going to come on to Mowgli and he's going to have to hold on.
Just saw loads of gadgets suddenly get pulled out by SSG. Hot and Cold has dumped everything in towards site. They're in, trying to make it happen. Mowgli's got one from inside. Piano faults off towards New Bout, gets one back on the other side. I spoke about this 1-for-1 play, but Ashen's got himself a second in the round. SSG all but cleaned up. It's just Shinka left standing in a 1 versus 3, and they'll win that one comfortably. Ashen, I believe, with a 3 or even about 4 in that round, Tim.
Mowgli just missing a few shots there. He did well on the first kill that he got, but he had the opportunity with the man stood sort of caught out really in the middle of the bar, and Ashen was able to just swing on him and win that fight despite sort of having a second advantage over him. Mowgli there, not able to lock it down, might just rue that one. But SSG, yes, able to get their first attack up on the top floor, and that will leave us in a 1-1 on the scoreboard now.
I commented on it in the round, but again, the discipline from SSG on the last map was the key highlight. But I think in that round, we saw them get that entry kill. And rather than looking to kind of force gunfights, they actually just said, forget about it. 5v4 execute. We think we can win the gunfights, and we force Wolves to engage us as we start looking for the execute. And it was just so well orchestrated. Again, you saw the dumper utility coming in. Wolves simply could not do enough to hold back the onslaught that was SSG. Down we go, though, into Kitchen, Tim. Got the Mozzie on side here for Deadshot, who I imagine you'll probably see getting off and busy around site.
Yeah, you would expect so. Again, just trying to, there's no solace available, banned out. So again, just, you know, what can we do to try and deny that little bit of information, especially on a kitchen hold? Because what's going to happen here is the defenders of Wolves, they're going to try to hold on to at least the mid floor that we're looking at, potentially up onto the top floor as well. So as much of sort of a blackout zone as you can create by stopping the drones getting in there really helps you to do that, because it's meaning then that Wolves are able to take those gunfights as a little bit of an advantage. SSG are having to go in and face check. They're having to go in without knowing everything that's ahead of them potentially. So Deadshot just trying to make that roam clearance a little bit more difficult.
On the attacking side, the Ram really, well, tells you, it gives away the game here for SSG, that vertical control, get everything opened up, use those launchers coming out from Ashen to feed whatever's going on downstairs, bounce them into the right spot, figure out where players are hiding in, and execute off the back of it. But just everything screams, though, vertical control for them. Looking at the nades coming out of the IQ, the buck as well. That's going to be the main play, and that is why I think you've got a couple of players from Wolves at the minute, at least, playing up on this first floor, hoping to upset one or two on the other side.
Yeah, absolutely. Drone's just going to be taken out there a couple at a time for Mowgli. Also picks up Am.
Yeah, it's hacked, I imagine, by Bravo.
Yeah, by Bravo drone. Just after taking it out. So again, just starving them of information. And SSG playing a little bit slowly here. We're getting to halfway through the round. We'd expect them, you know, to potentially be working towards Kitchen at this point. Mowgli gets away with one. Manages to pick up a drone.
Oh, the
also the kill. The Nitro gets shot out by Forest. Beautiful stuff as the Buck manages to keep himself alive. But Mowgli still gets away with a big advantage for Wolves there.
He does and walks away with it. I think it was lucky that he was looking for the drone. False drop a dunk on it. Down goes Deadshot. Second one coming back on the other side, though. The super shorty to finish things off onto Ashen. Again, not quite a dream scenario for SSG. Down 2 members. 4 still up on the side of Wolves. Feels like the French side are at least in control of this round, and they've done a good job in trying to disrupt this first floor control that SSG were very sorely seeking. They do still have the Ram. They've still got the nades of the IQ. They've still got the Buck. Everything they need to get things open is here. It's just a little bit less of a punch without the Grim on side when it comes round to the execute.
Yeah, they're going to be working those verticals, but they're about 35 seconds behind where we would hope for an attacking side to be here on Cafe. So it could well come down to a late and dramatic push through something like Freezer Hatch, for example. Forrest continues his work as Fultz looks to push down those stairs and maybe just apply a little bit of pressure laterally as well. I don't think he's too sure about what's going on inside of VIP at the minute. We can't quite see off to the right of his screen, but Shinka is still there in behind the shield. I'm not sure that... Ooh, the nade does just manage to cast a shield. That's big, but Shinka can just play his life here, really, and hold on. Mowgli P4 managed to pick him up at the bottom of white, and this is what happens when you've got to walk down there and challenge. You get sprayed through the soft wall. Shinka knows where the last is. He makes the call, and P4 steps forward, gets that final kill, and that is going to be the round for Wolves. A nice hold there. Use the information well, use the utility well. SSG never really comfortably in control of the map, and Wolves took full advantage of that.
Shinka just being served up as the perfect bait to SSG as well. They were so focused on destroying the shield and swinging the player, weren't even aware that Mowgli was sat outside near restaurant and bar, just swung out on towards bottom white, as you say, and picked up Fultz, who wasn't even looking the right way. And they had a player sat on freezer door ready to swing when a drop came through. Wolves just read into that attack perfectly, at least the fractured attack that was left when only 3 members of SSG were still left standing. I commented that I really was keen to see how the attacks go in the first half of this map. If SSG could, you know, undo the misfortunes that I guess Wolves endured in their first half back on Clubhouse. Hey, that's the wrong map, but here we stand. A little look at what we were talking about there in Clubhouse.
I mean, it was a nice kill to have a replay.
Yeah, it was nice. Yeah, I'm not complaining about that. I enjoyed it too. It wasn't too bad. So, let's see if they can get anything. Because that's the first quarter down as well. Let's talk about the game in terms of quarters. SSG managed to get that one single round. Wolves, really, I imagine maybe look at that and say, Bar and Cocktail, do we just swerve it? Given they just executed through Scarlet once they had the 5 versus 4, they may well try and do it again. We could deny that away from them and make them have to fight us, because that's where we're winning so far.
Exactly that. So round 4 is going to be back in reading this time around. Last time SSG lost this one on the attack. They were just unable to get any presence. This time the spawn peak does work out. Mowgli manages to pick up Ashen. Those two have been in real battles at the beginning of rounds. They've killed each other plenty of times. And this time it is Mowgli who comes out on top. So SSG's problem last time, as I was just in the midst of saying, was getting control of top floor. They were never really in a position to be able to use those verticals and pressure site. They basically never completed step 1. Hot and Cold, he's just trying to sneak his way in here. I don't think that the Fenrir is fully aware. P4 knew somebody was there, but not exactly where, and that's going to level things up, and this might just change the dynamic a little bit, because Wolves can't focus on that top floor hole completely, because they now know that they've got somebody inside of Train.
They have got a player above, though, that can watch down through the vertical and see what's going on, and I imagine that's going to be part of the game, at least for now, maybe pushing their way down white and getting a bit of a sniff as to what's going down. Deadshot finds Fultz. Here we go, the push comes all the way through, and Deadshot has just undone all the ground taken by SSG, and once again, the French side have a massive numbers advantage. 3-1 inbound.
I feel like Deadshot overall. He's been a little bit quiet here on Cafe, but
they're his first 2 kills.
Yeah, he's not doing bad though. There's been a number of sort of smart players, really smart choices, but we'll see if that can continue. Maybe a couple of kills here in round 4 is just going to boost him into this map a little bit more. But SSG certainly starting to struggle now, as it is 2 versus 4, and it's just becoming difficult for them once again to even get inside of the map. Wolves, they're just going to hold on to that top floor now. There's no way realistically that SSG can go inside of sight until they've cleared this out. So they're going to get themselves in piano again. I know, maybe try and work his way across, try and get into Train, but it's going to be very difficult for SSG to get anything going.
Well, and again, Deadshot's really undone all the hard work they had going there. But I do want to give a shout out to Mowgli as well. On the attacking side, we had a lot of criticism, or at least I did. Going on to the defensive side was better on Club here because he started on defense, playing incredibly well. Sat at 6-1 at the minute. The big problem here is don't let them take isolate 2v1s, because that's what SSG have really just found there. There was at least the guaranteed trade coming in, and no one on the side of Wolves really to respond. And being so far back, you can see one on White, for example. They do have the ability to swarm in here if things start going from bad to worse, but Mowgli there almost got shot off as well on White stairs. A couple of inches to the right, and that was a headshot.
Time is going to be the factor here as we come into the final 20 seconds. SSG need to make a push forward. Forrester's got Diffuser in hand. Again, I know, just keeps battling there, but Forrester's miles away. He's going to have to start looking for kills realistically. He's trying to clear out that White stairs position, but Mowgli, he's alive, he's alert. He manages to get both. There's a big finish. You picked up on him partway through the round. He's going from strength to strength here, from Clubhouse to Cafe, and looking pretty good.
SSG timeout coming in, I hear, and expect that will be, because as you can see, they're down 3-1. Not really seeing any success on the attacking side here. We did mention coming into the map, this is not a strong map for either team, so it's not wholly unsurprising that SSG are struggling on the attacking side. I would again put a lot of that down to the proactivity of Wolves rather than outright errors by SSG. Sure, there's been some, but Wolves have been very good at holding ground they know they need to hold and contesting extremely aggressively. That round, maybe sure, letting the Nook come crouch walking in towards Train. Not really an ideal scenario, but prior to that, I feel they've controlled the map really well. Just playing a pretty good standard game of Cafe, I think.
Yeah, I think it seems quite clear that this is Wolves' map. You know, coming in, it's obviously they're a lot more comfortable than they were back on Clubhouse, especially on the defense here, doing very well. SSG, they just need to try and lock down a couple of rounds, because at the minute it's just getting away from them. They're not really getting close, especially those 2 reading attacks. They've, like I said, never been in a position to be able to execute onto site. They've never really been in full map control. They've just been sort of clutching at whatever small areas of the map they could get to use from, and so Wolves, you know, definitely in good control. They're going to be down, yes, as you said, they're not going to move up to top floor. They're going to be down on the mid floor again. This time it's going to be mining, so it's going to be the other mid floor site, and that makes perfect sense because SSG have done nothing to threaten them from above in the last couple of rounds when they've played on this floor. So, yep, just double down on it, Wolves. Just, you know, you can do the same again. Just hold on to that top floor. Don't allow SSG any space inside the map, and it's unlikely they're going to pick you apart.
10 seconds left.
That towards a very kind of heavy setup with the Azami and the castle inside as well. We spoke about this. I imagine that suggests they're going to defend upstairs, but obviously because the swerve, plain bar, and cocktail like we thought they might. Here it's more just to hold ground and then back away a little bit later on. So keen to see if SSG can crack it this time round, because they can't just execute through Skylight. You've got to work through the whole of the top floor, clear it, and then look for an execute on that second floor itself. Somehow, I just don't get the feeling Wolves are going to make it that easy for them, right?
No, absolutely not. Fultz immediately opening up the castle barricade and just trying to take away some of that utility. I don't know if there was a little bit of info to say that there was somebody in and around bar there. Deadshot gets himself away. Needs to be careful because there is one on the library door as well, but does dip himself into cover and is again just going to be trying to waste as much time as he can.
I hope they know that about the Claymore. Yeah, so that's if he left that and ran away, I'd be like, question mark, but has redeployed it, pulled it back further away from that jammer. That's one hell of a range if it caught it, by the way. Even the double stack, I love it.
Just being cautious that they're not going to get run out on those east windows tells us exactly what SSG are going to be trying to do, which is get on the rappel of the east windows, get themselves established inside a cocktail, move across, take piano, and then they can start thinking about site because they will need that vertical control. I'm not sure exactly where Mowgli is positioned at the minute, but on the Azami, there is a potential for him to be inside a piano. Exactly where we find him. That is going to make it very, very difficult with those Kiba barricades for SSG to get in and get this ground. So cocktail across makes sense.
See how much they've enjoyed across the two maps making use of the Azami, and I imagine that will remain a thing throughout the whole competition as well. One of those operators that we speak about a lot on the defensive side being incredibly difficult to deal with right now in the combination of, people talk about like Solis, Fenrir, and Azami, but some teams are even saying, Valkyrie should really be in that conversation as well, alongside Tubarao, of course, so we often see, well, not so much banned away yet, but expect we will across the tournament. I know it was banned in the game that's going on the A stream back on Clubhouse, but I think with that combo, seeing Fenrir, Valkyrie, and Azami on side, just feels horrible to deal with, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's just so oppressive. Everywhere you go, you're either going to be on a cam or you're going to get stuck in an F-nat or, it's so difficult trying to peek into Kiba barricades, which Mowgli is using perfectly. Manages to pick himself up a nice entry once again, this time onto Pulse. Deadshot, good use of the Nitro to pick up Forest. 5 versus 3, and SSG again struggling to just get inside of the map.
Dare I say, Fresh will love this one, split theory. There's a lot trying to happen all at once across the map here for SSG, really. Like, outside of that fight there at the very end, I've not seen a 2 versus 1 or anyone even being in close proximity for a trade across the entire round. They've tried to take 4 or 5 different points of the map all at once and lost their ones. And when things are going like this, really that's the kind of time you're turning around and saying, this is actually a time for us to group up as a 2 or a 3 and at least try and force a trade, because it is not working right now. They've just had the timeout. It's still not going their way. Wolves are up 4-on-1. It is almost, Tim, a perfect mirror of what we saw back on Club.
My chair nearly fell over that desk.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I tried to roll it. It didn't roll.
It's not exactly a small chair, Tim.
No, I know that.
It's not like a one-wheel thing. It's got, 6 wheels to keep it grounded.
There we go. It's moving again. I've unstuck it.
How have you managed that?
I think it's the car.
We
could have had an incident. We could have had an incident, but we didn't. We avoided it. So, Wolves are absolutely running away with things on Cafe. Here is the reality. SSG just not at the races at the minute. Unable to get themselves inside the map. Unable to get any real, sort of control of anything. Not really able to play their game. I think they're going to be desperate to just get out of this half and get onto defense, to be honest.
You'd hope so. I mean, defense seems to be the successful one of the day, doesn't it? Because attackers not look clean for either team. I think we had 2 attacking round wins from SSG back on map 1. We had 1 from Wolves, so 3 in total across 12 rounds, 25%. Here we've seen 1 across 5, 20%. It's looking like Fresh might actually be right about win rates.
Could well be. Could well be. Early doors, yeah. Early doors.
It is. A lot can change.
We've got to remember a lot of these teams are going to be coming in and finding out about each other as they go. So, as we go through the tournament, we may well see those adaptations. We may well see things change a little bit, and they'll just look to, what teams have done and how can we take advantage of that and how can we play into it. So we may well see it change as the days go by. But for the time being, of course, yes, it is absolutely looking defender favoured at the minute from what we have seen, at least. Deadshot, that's smart. Takes out the drone. So P4, they've now no idea. They know that Deadshot was off to the right because the drone will have seen him, but they may well not have a clue that he's waiting here to spring out of this main door.
Will he just keep being the rat? You've even got Bibbo off towards the other side
He's left. I think he's left.
Like it. I've already remarked on it, but I think maybe it's both teams have enjoyed this aggression in the early round, at least holding large parts of the map. We remarked on it from SSG back on the first half of Clubhouse, so seeing it here from Wolves as well. They are making the other team fight tooth and nail for every inch of the map, despite having so many strong defensive tools on side.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, that's been one of the big things for SSG is I can't think of any point, really, other than that one round that they've won on the top floor where they've realistically looked like I thought, right, they're going to execute in a second.
Yeah.
No, they haven't got near. They haven't got into a position where they could really think about, right, are we going to put this diffuser down? We're seeing good use of the clutch drone there, just going in, taking over utility, claiming it out, going to look to get that FNAT that has just been pinged out as well.
It still remains such a horrible word, doesn't it?
Yes,
Clutch.
the drones can only hack so many items, so that's why the second one has been sent in just to try and grab. That one will be successful, so that is the FNAT taken over. So not only will that now not affect the attackers, it will actually affect the defenders. It swings that utility's allegiance. So now if any defenders move through that FNAT, they will have that sort of that near sight vision that comes in.
So talking about like a non-living object saying it swings its allegiance. Yeah. So just a mechanical device goes, today I fancy disrupting the attackers today. Maybe the defenders today, I don't know. Feels like it's an alignment thing.
Love it.
It's a funny word, allegiance, yeah.
Allegiance.
From a non-living object. Made me laugh. Anyway, Walls in March. Great camera up here as well, positioned in. Seeing absolutely everything going on up here. We spoke about this when teams aren't bringing along the IQ because she's not really someone you plan to bring in a lineup. You kind of have to sacrifice something quite crucial to you on the attacking side in quite a defender stack meta. And you just think sometimes is it worth bringing or do just carry on? And J9O runs in, gets one, instantly traded out by Deadshot, who equally takes some pretty nasty shots back onto his side. Wasn't the kill shot from the other side, but straight in towards sight. Forrest has full sent it in here, Tim. There's still 4 players left alive. I don't think they were aware about a player being in behind, but Forrest has got it all to do. Manages to get himself one, downs the other, but Deadshot was there through prep for the clean. It's going to be a 5-1 half for Wolves, Tim. Again, an exact mirror of what we saw back on Club.
Yeah, a real response from them. And I love what I've seen from them on Cafe. They've looked much better than they did on Clubhouse. They've been in complete command and control of this map, to be honest. SSG, again, you know, you use the term there, he's just had to full send it into sight, you know, and it feels like that's what SSG are being limited to. It's like, what opportunity have we got? Right, just right, I might have a chance to get in here and make something happen inside of sight. But no, Wolves are there. They're ready for it. You know, and they cut him down, and it's another easy round for them.
You're the man, you're the man.
I think this could be a much quicker map, honestly, than the last one that we saw. I'm not sure whether SSG are going to be able to come back on the defense.
Tim, you know what I say. When we get to the end of round 6 every time. 2 halves to a game of Siege. Saw it back on Club. That thought was going to be a fast one as well, but it turned out not to be. 7-5. Every single round of regulation was required. I don't know. I'd like to see Wolves kind of drag it over so we get to that third map. I'd love to see a full 3-map series in our first cast of the whole competition. Hopefully, though, we see those concerns that we had from Clubhouse that hopefully were addressed by Coach Leland in between the break and with Helby on side as well. And said, look, Mowgli, let's not see you charging too far ahead this time around because, yet again, you've got quite a slow lineup coming out from Wolves here. You've got that Flores inside. You've got the Nomad who wants to get the air jabs down. You've no doubt got the Hibana who needs to get things opened up. So the last thing you really want is Iana to just go charging off into Narnia here and get picked off with no response from the other side. What the hell is... I love it.
Big risk for a drone, I'll be honest. You know, getting right out of there. There wasn't anybody in a position to do anything about it. But Forrest, I tell you what, that's a nice little bait there. Out goes the Nitro. Going to be unsuccessful as Mowgli's fast feet moves him away from danger. And they're going to be aware now, I think, that Forrest was playing aggressively on that door. Just dipped himself back inside of reading. But it's going to be hot and cold to open things up with the first kill onto P4.
They absolutely love this level of aggression. Hot and Cold has always got some kind of run out or early round aggression that he likes to try. You've seen it from Forrest, admittedly for the drones and the cheeky C4 coming out, but again, both teams making sure the other side has to fight tooth and nail for every single inch of the map. And I love to see it, rather than being more passive and sitting back, make them work for it. You've got rid of the Nomad. That opens you up for the rest of this round now to be able to get aggressive on the flanks if you want to, because otherwise, they've got to rely pretty much entirely on drones, of which only 3 are out on the map.
Is going to be getting himself onto the rappel. He's going to have auto utility sent in to try and dislodge Ashen here. Ashen just being peppered from underneath as well by the looks of things. A few bullets raining up. Forrest is tight on that door though to make it difficult for anybody to push directly underneath the site. He's not reading the site. Is train on the opposite side of the floor. So just again trying to prevent Wolves, and they're having the same problem that SSG did really. They're not inside of the map. They're still playing from doorways. They're still playing from windows. They're still don't have any map control.
Will they see the barrel first? Mowgli playing it so patiently here as well. Again, this is the big thing we were looking for, was we see a little bit of unneeded aggression at a certain point. As Bibba goes in, Shot will get the trade. It's at least something for them. And Mowgli realizes he's been stung out by one of those fears coming out from Fenrir. to back away at least for a second. Still number disadvantage though for the French side.
Deadshot 8 and 4, picking up some important trades over the last couple of rounds. So continuing to go well on Cafe, folks. Just holding that tight angle on White Stairs. Again, just making it difficult. Yes, Wolves have got themselves inside the map now, but they're struggling to make any real progress. And they haven't dislodged any of the SSG defenders, really. Bolts just takes a little pot shot as he moves away. He's just relocating, going to change his angle so he can watch the drop because he knows it's likely where something's going to have to come from.
It's going to be all guns up play here as well. Barely any drones left on side. Deadshot into a second. Mowgli starts his move. Actually, that's cleared up for Mowgli to move through pillars here as well. So actually, despite 15 seconds being on the clock, they could make this work, but they've got to be so careful of the verticals.
Need to get into a position to put that diffuser down, and that's going to make life very difficult as J9O picks up Shinker. Bolts with a double! And that's going to be the round going for SSG. First successful defense for them. And we're seeing an exact mirror of what we had back on Clubhouse. This time it's SSG 5-1 down at the half, take the first defense. And we'll be looking to string a few together.
Yeah, like I say, this is what I'm always so wary of. 2 halves to a game of Siege. Things can change so much when the sides swap halves or swap places. You see the attackers move on to the defense and vice versa. Up we go then to that top floor, Tim. This is where SSG did see success on their attacking half earlier on, at least to start things off. Obviously, it transpired that would be the only success that they would really be able to walk away with. Wolves going to need something pretty spicy in mind to crack this one open. And I mentioned it coming into the map. Both teams, it's not a high preference map for them, but if Wolves are picking this out, it's because they believe from the 6 games that they have seen SSG play this over the last 6 months, they figured something out and they can unravel the puzzle in a way and really make SSG suffer. This is the time to do it.
It's going to be the top floor Des.
Your favourite.
Commented on the top floor already, and it was lost. Wolves tried to hold on to it. SSG are going to take us there.
5 seconds
With
remaining.
Reading open and with Kitchen open, I don't know. They need these rounds. They can't let Wolves get onto map point. It's a big risk. Because if they do let Wolves get onto map point now, they could win the other 3 sites and still potentially, they're having to use them weak sites, that they may be not comfortable with because they're going to have to go through a full rotation. So for me, I don't know. We'll see if Wolves are able to crack the nut quite as easily as SSG did. For now, it's going to be up to the rooftop, grab that intel, see what's going on inside a site, and then I would imagine it's going to be pushed towards Piano. We've got Rigo and Zafir already over there on the windows, looking to pressure.
With the sheer fact that you have those 3 ops, the Iruni, the Castle, and the Izami, you just know that it's going to be a hold around that Piano area. Exactly the same as Wolves did, as you say, right? So that's really going to be why you've got the Zofia on side. An operator that we very rarely see these days, it's worth remarking. I think one of the lowest pick rates that we see in comp at the moment, outside of the real outside operator picks that you just don't really get. Things like Caveira, maybe once in a blue moon you see her picked up. I know it's on Fresh's bingo card yet again that we'll get an interrogation at some stage. When it will happen, no one knows.
We love a tournament interrogation.
We love an interrogation because we all get to scream it. And now we're here in Brazil. It feels even more thematic. Here we go, though. It's going to be a straight execution. No, I'd say surely not inside about 15 seconds. They want to force some of the SSG players to move. And P4 has just marched his way in. They've used the smoke as a bit of a distraction. He's got 2 kills inside a cocktail, and he's going in for the plant. They've got cover on the top. Ashen swings round, but doesn't find his man. In fact, that's a lie. P4 goes down. Not out, but it means the diffuser will not get stuck. So now it's a little bit of stalemate. We're going to have to see Wolves retake that ground once again, and Forrest just runs straight into Mowgli, who has been hugging Snowdoor across a lot of this half so far. And sure enough, strikes well and true. J9O got it all to do against 3 players who are still on their feet.
Nightmare situation for J9O here. They know that he's in bar back storage. They took shots from east. They're going to be able to pick the man up. No, try to, but with the cover coming in from Skylight, there's no way that J9O can do anything. And just exactly what I was concerned about from an SSG perspective, but fantastic for Wolves. They've stepped up, got the attack onto a site that is not always that much in favour of the defenders, and that gives them the map point opportunity.
It does, and it feels like, okay, yep, this one could go over the edge here if they need it to. That top floor, again, has been the one that we've seen both teams have a lot of success at just a very quick execute into the top floor. When they've kind of said, right, now it's go time, and they just go. It was really orchestrated, I thought, at least, by the top floor. It was Shinker up here, and this is the closing kill that you saw come out. but he was the reason why no one could play inside a bar, the reason why the players inside a piano could do nothing because he smoked it off, and why no one could push the diffuser going down inside of Cocktail. It took Ashen to swing and trade his life, knowing that there was a very good chance there was someone on East Window who would take him out as a result. But again, Shinka for me, perfect place, perfect time, perfect gadgetry on the Capital, enabled absolutely everything in that round. Off the back, of course, of P4 walking a brilliant 2K inside a Cocktail.
Yeah, he just saw his opportunity. And, you know, if you're going to give me the space, I'm going to take it. And it just shows the difference that we've had in the attacking rounds that have been won, the attacking rounds that have been lost. Attacking rounds that have been won, the attackers have been able to get inside the map, get themselves established, work their way through. P4 there took the opportunity. A little bit of space was given, in he goes. The ones where the defenders have been particularly successful is where they haven't given that space, where they've kept them, you know, on the outskirts, on the margins of the map, and not allowed them to get in and get any control. So are SSG now able to do the same? They're going to mix up the sites. They don't want any more of that top floor.
Indeed not. Understandably so. It's a tough one to defend. And imagine if we get this far into the map, you'll also see them rotate away to playing mining instead, going up onto that top floor. As neither team has had a lot of success. A good jump out from Ashen. Finds Mowgli, who we've already commented on, has been having a brilliant map so far. Him and Deadshot really in sync this map, both on double digits in terms of kills, but you've taken down the raid boss from the first half.
Yeah, really well played there from Ashen. Just took his opportunity well. Nice advantage now for SSG, and it's just going to make that job that I spoke about even more difficult for Wolves. They're playing onto a kitchen site, so they want to get mid-floor control, because otherwise they're going to have defenders above them, especially now in a 5 versus 4, because SSG have got the numbers to allow them to keep players upstairs. They will try and keep hold of vertical angles, particularly to deal with areas like prep. You can open up angles from train that are going to give you a nice view down in there, and it just prevents the attackers moving on into site. So Wolves are going to need to deal with that.
Oh, hot and cold, almost being decapitated there, sat in behind the bakery bar. Swing from Bolts onto Deadshot coming down brown stairs. A little bit isolated, admittedly. No one there with him again. Really looking to get a backstab on the go. Simply will not be able to capitalize. This will probably be a slow burn round towards SSG win. Spoke about it back on map 1. Their discipline in these man advantage situations is absolutely sublime. Hot and cold's probably dead though.
Absolutely. P4 is going to go in. Somehow Hot and Cold manages to stick his position. He was flashed out, but waits for the effects to wear off, springs up and manages to get 1 kill. Bibu has to dip away after he can't find his man. He's low health as well. And as you say, 5 versus 2 now. SSG just waiting for time to pass as the round is almost certainly there. It's Hot and Cold from what looked like a very difficult position to hold on to. Has managed to find himself 2. He's got himself back to the safety of the counter, and it's going to be Ashen who's on the cover for him from the bottom of red stairs. Picks up that final kill onto Shinka, and that is going to be a round for SSG. 6-3, but they still need another 3 in a row.
Never really challenged in that round, SSG, just very comfortably moving quite smoothly, whether it was hanging around bakery, whether it was moving in towards restaurant and bar, round white, up red, down red, you name it. Never any real pressure coming out from Wolves, and that'll be a round they'll sooner forget and just put in the back of their minds. Just being this next round, we're stepping across into Fireplace and Reading. Second floor site that we spoke about before, as we've now finished that first air quotes quarter of the second half, the third quarter of the game. So you'll get those same 3 sites rotated through again. But again, Tim, I don't suspect we'll see Bar and Cocktail. I would expect them to do as Wolves did and move across instead, playing off towards mining.
Yes, exactly that. I think, you know, given the way that both of the attacks on the top floor have gone so far, it would be the smart choice. But we will see if Wolves can get themselves into that top floor. I really want to see it because it's something that SSG didn't ever really manage to do, was get top floor control, start working vertical angles, and see what happens. Now, I'm looking across at the side of Wolves. We've got an Amaru with P4. We've got a Blitz with Deadshot. It screams to me, let's get that top floor taken. Let's get in there, get a kill or 2, use those verticals. I want to see how the defenders stack up, in this case SSG, in Reading, once that top floor is lost.
It's always the big one. Just looking at the explosive comp they've got though, and I just feel there could be something real special cooking from Wolves here. They want this done and dusted. They don't want to find us running down to the wire, as we saw back on Club, requiring all 12 rounds. For them, 10 rounds sounds enough. They want it done. Looking at that Amaru, in towards the KB, in towards their Blitz. Just everything screams. Okay, I mean, that screams as well. As you jump out of a window, as you fall to your death, and then you die.
Ashen with a very good jump out in the last round. Forest with not such a good jump out in this round. However, Mowgli does leave himself a little bit exposed there, and it's Ashen once again who manages to get that kill. We picked up on him before the game even started, and you know, he was such a big player for SSG in Atlanta. They really need him leading from the front, and he's really starting to do that here on Cafe.
Mozzie loses the C4 as a result of going down, but in return you take out the DKB and the calls. I'd still probably take it as a win overall in that sort of 1-for-1 early round debacle between the two teams. The DKB is so valuable when you're trying to run in, especially when you know you've got the Echo on side as well, because now, of course, you're forced off of the cameras. You cannot sit on them whilst your phone is ringing. So that really means there's no denial of the plank coming in as long as that call is going through. Without that on side here, could sting a little bit, but we still have the Amaru, and that's exactly where P4 is going in. Charging forwards along with the shield, charging in, but still wins out. Fultz gets his man. P4 gets one back on the other side, though. It's 1-for-1 between the two teams. Oh, a great swing into a bit of a self-flash, but it's a 3 versus 2 for Wolves with 1:20 to play. Surely, Tim, they can do it.
The flashes just mean nothing this round. Kills raining in regardless. Shinka knows the man is there, doesn't know exactly where though. Fultz will be traded. P4 once again in there to do the damage. 2 versus 1. A minute left on the clock. P4 has the diffuser in hand as well, so everything that Wolves need to get this closed out, and 7-3 would be a real result for them here on Cafe, but Hot and Cold, he's waiting. He knows exactly where they are. He's going to play a little ring around the roses with the 1 versus 1. Can he close this out for the first completed clutch that we will see in this matchup? He just needs to find one more, but he's up against a full health Bibu.
Here's Bibu, those 1 and 6. He's not been having the best joy in this map when it comes round to his gunfights. Hot and Cold spots him. He knows that he's sat inside a reading. Going in for the plant as well. He'll be able to disrupt this. Surely you don't play ring around the roses with the yokai drones. It's never going to be a winning scenario. Bibu's really got to try and find his man, but I think he's left it out too late here, Tim. I think he's actually going to lose out to the yokai drones. Oh, no.
Just needs to find that drone. He couldn't see where it was. That's now the case. He's going to have to stick this, though. He's unlikely to have time to come off for a fight. Hot and Cold's just looking for the angle. Is he going to allow this to go down? He's allowed Bibu to get his gun back in his hand. All of a sudden, it's 50-50 again, Des.
Where does he go? Does he wrap around the back, try and go through the rotation, or wrap around through the door? It's left, right, left, right. Oh, and he gets the long-range bump. Down goes Bibu, and Hot and Cold keeps his team in map 2.
Surely going to be kicking themselves after that 2 versus 1. It's always difficult when you've got an Echo on the board because you can see firsthand how much time can be wasted by those yokai drones. The information as well to know exactly where Bibu was. Even when the plant was going down, I know where I'm going to have to challenge. So Hot and Cold, he can be thinking ahead of time. How am I going to play this 1v1 if I have to take the gunfight? Where's my angles? What am I going to do? You can see how well prepared he was for it. Hot and Cold, a player with just an absolute wealth of experience, and it just goes to show there. Plays it beautifully.
The thing is, Bibu's the same. He's been playing for years and years, and you'd really think in that situation, either there's a team commitment to we're going for the gunfight here, go kill, or they go for the execute, and instead you've got one player pushing in for a gunfight. Bibu kind of drawn back a little bit, doesn't go too aggressive, kind of almost doubts himself, I think, in a way, and he pays the price for it, fundamentally getting stuck in a 1v1 against an Echo who's dancing around you for fun. Makes it all too easy for Hot and Cold, even if it did come down to that closing 1v1 with the diffuser down. 6 and 4 then, Tim, it does feel like we're going to potentially see every single round.
We could well do. You know, and we've got to remind people at home, of course, of what the stakes are here. It is currently 1-0. This is a best of 3 between SSG and Wolves, and it is 1-0 in maps to SSG having won Clubhouse. If they were able to turn a result over here on Cafe, they will take the win. And believe me, when we're talking about SI group stages, I say it every year, I just love the chaos because things go wrong and things go right for teams very, very quickly. We only lose one team from each group, so the reality is a couple of wins over your 4 matches is likely to be enough mathematically to take you through into the next stages. Of course, you want to get as high up the groups as you can because you're getting an advantage going into the upper bracket, for example. But it can also fall apart quickly. A couple of losses can be very, very difficult to come back from. You then find a lot of pressure on those final games that you're going to be going, you know, into, and so it's not easy. And this well could be, you know, a win for SSG if they can get the couple of rounds back, get themselves into overtime. Who knows what happens?
I love how Hot and Cold is normally one of the chillest, like, calmest guys you'll ever meet in Pro Siege. Like, you meet him, you see him around, he's nice, quite chill, quite unassuming. And there he was just proper going for it. Blasting Bibus. Or where his body was at the very least. Yeah, I mean, admittedly, when Ashton's streaming at you every single round, it's definitely going to get in the bloodstream as well. You'll be feeling it yourself. And seeing them all get hyped up, I absolutely love it. It's that kind of passion that I love seeing at these live events.
Deadshot going to be sending in the Rotero drones to begin with then. Going to take out a default camera with that one. Not a use that we see too often.
No, we did it a couple of times.
But if you can get them far enough up the wall, they will do the job. The splash damage will take out the cam. So also feeds a little bit of information, tells them that there's no danger from bottom white, from VIP for example, bottom brown, and it's sort of a 2-for-1 now then. Beaver is going to be working on that castle barricade. You see him dipping away because you've got to be particularly cautious for nitros on the back of those. You know, teams will count, they'll know as and when that window is about to go, and there will sometimes be a nitro to follow. None on the side of
cover
SSG to be able to do that this time, but still the thought process for Bibu, they don't necessarily know that. 5 versus 3 though, as SSG continue fighting. They seem to have found their legs here, Des. They managed to get 3 in a row. It's 5 versus 2, and the rush that Wolves hoped would push them over the line has fallen. It's faltered. It's been unsuccessful.
Not looking great, is it? Right, ending is smoking off like Fireplace and the rotation that led out towards the hallway that you can see here on the right-hand side of your screen, but just didn't really have any cover in the sites itself, or were they aware by the sounds of it, the rotation to the right-hand side of the Fireplace that gave Hot and Cold that wonderful free angle. It didn't matter what they wanted to do with the Amaru. Always going to get seen out there, and this is probably again going to be a slow bleed down, which does mean, Tim, we'll have to see all 12 rounds to see this one closed out.
Certainly looks like it could be the case. If not, it could be an exact mirror, really, of what we saw on Clubhouse, which was a 7-5 win for SSG after they had a 5-1 half. This well could be a 5-1 half for Wolves, and then a 7-5 win if they're able to get this last round over the line. But it's certainly not looking great at the minute. SSG just finding themselves on defence here, and just the rounds seem to have got easier for them over the last couple of rounds. Like we saw that one there, they were just so ready for that rush. The Wolves never really stood a chance, and SSG really did punish them quickly for it.
Wolves had the right idea, though. I spoke coming into the map about how you don't come to this map knowing it's one of your least preferred maps unless you have something prepped counter-wise towards SSG. And sure, on the defense, as we said, both teams look great on the defensive side, but the attacking side, it's still lacking for either team. We've only seen success on Bar and Cocktail, and Tim, that only is going to make you feel even happier. You're seeing now why defenders, more than ever, should not be going to that top floor.
The only site that's been lost. Oh, it's as if I said that the defenders don't see much success. Right, we're going to head down to Kitchen then for our final defensive round here. And honestly, I think this is a site that maybe is going to suit them here. You know, as we've said, Wolves struggling to get inside the map. Struggled last time. Hot and Cold held on to Bakery fantastically well, getting himself a couple of kills even after it seemed like it probably wouldn't be the case. And we just saw Wolves again struggling to get that toehold inside of the map. So for me, if I'm SSG, I'm leaning into that. No surprise to see the Azami brought along, the Fenrir brought along. Just those operators that are going to make it difficult again for Wolves to establish themselves.
Love to bring in the introduction of the Ossa here as well for Shinka. With the diffuser in hand, no doubt this is the sort of thing that you see turn into a execute through freezer, get planted just inside a site right next to the actual bomb chassis itself, and you get the diffuser down. But first and foremost, it's one of those classic things where there's a checklist to work through here. Mowgli and P4 have got to do some work on the upstairs. That will be the first port of call. You've got Ram on side, you've got the Buck on side. It's all about vertical destruction, with Bibbo on side being able to burn through some of those ADS and magnets, or equally to take out things at range if there was a shield on side, for example, which there is with Hot and Cold, or to get rid of some of those Kiva barriers if they are impeding the team from moving forwards.
Bibu then gets himself into the top floor. Going to start working his way across. Information will be there, but just being cautious, of course. Always possible to miss somebody on a drone. Always possible for somebody to sneak back into a location that has already been drawn. But this is good. Well ahead of time. P4 is able to start getting those floors opened up. He's gone for the one just at the midpoint of Red stairs there. That's going to give the view down towards bottom of Red. That's going to give access in towards Wedding, towards Bakery, prevent the flank. We've got then Mowgli on the book just opening things up inside a site, taking utility out as well. Freezer hatches open. This is way better from Wolves versus the last time we saw them attacking Kitchen.
So far, so good. Good start to the round inside that first 90 seconds, as you say, but All really going to come down to the execute, I think, and how they can make this work, because they're going to have to force a couple of players of SSG to move away if they're going to make this work. They've got both sides opened up as well, so they do need to rotate and go for a push down red rather than through freezer. It's there as an option, but the main person to follow is Shinka. He's the one with the diffuser. He's the one who's on the Ossa shield. Wherever he goes is going to be where the execute gets centered, and so far, it looks like, again, it's going to be the freezer side.
Just the vertical use of those Kiba barricades. Not something that we see too often, but can be used, of course, on any surface. So when those verticals start getting opened up, they can be placed above just to provide a little bit of security, a little bit of safety. 40 seconds left to go. Wolves have not been able to pick up a kill yet, and that could be problematic for them because SSG are poised here for a retake. They're poised to move back onto site now. Then that was great from Fultz to get up above and to create a problem for that attacking side, but the trade was there immediately.
It's going to be messy. They need that vertical cover as well. Forest force back. You can hear the Decabi ringing out here as well. Again, everything Wolves have brought along has been engineered for this moment, but it's all coming down to the last 15, Tim. That means no second chances.
That's it. They really need to clear out VIP. J9O manages to get Bibu. Mowgli gets the trade, and it's going in favour of Wolves at the minute, but with 4 seconds left to go, they've just got to make a move. 2 quick kills come in from Forest and Dez. We're going to overtime.
I've been waiting for those words for months, Tim. Tell you what, defense is having an absolute field day in this series, as many would expect. And I don't know, neither team able to get the business done on the attack. The thing is, I think if you give Wolves another 60 seconds there, they'd probably pull off a pretty good attack.
I mean, you could always say that. If you give Wolves another 8 minutes on that attack, I think they might get it done.
No, because they're still 5v5, because they've massaged players away from where they were playing,
yes.
you know.
It took them too long.
They've made room and they've forced SSG back, but then let them back in. They've got back in behind Sinks, for example. J9O is still inside bunker. So while they've kind of given themselves a bit of breathing room in freezer itself, nothing actually inside of the site. It was all going right until they actually said the word go. And that's when everything started to fall apart. SSG start on the defensive side, Tim, and suddenly I'm thinking this might actually be an SSG map win, a 2-0 for them. Wolves had to win it in regulation.
Well, it's a massive advantage for them. It's 5-1 halves. The defenders have been winning 5-1, as we've said. They've been able to choke out the attacks. They've been able to burn so much time. They've been able to make it really, really difficult for Wolves to get through to them. But the same for SSG when they've been on attack. But yeah, absolutely. You'd say for the first time on Cafe, really, that this puts SSG in the driving seat. They've been fighting from behind previously. I'm cold going for that. The epitome's just like, oh, calm down. You don't want to lose that man early if you want to complete this comeback. And that's exactly what they're going to be looking to do. They don't want to give any early advantage to Wolves. But what he has done now, Hot and Cold, is let them know there's somebody on the bottom floor. They've got to worry about the entire map. They've got to go in and think about clearing it out.
I think this series really has been... The pace and the outcomes have largely been dictated by Wolves. And that's not to say they've always been in control of the game, but I wouldn't say SSG to me have made like grave errors time and time again like we've seen Wolves do. Equally, I wouldn't really say overall we've seen them have massive high moments where they're just completely clear of Wolves, because a lot of that has come as a result of Wolves falling short or just being completely mis-synced with one another. And I just feel that with how things keep on playing out, with how Wolves keep on letting rounds slip away, there is enough composure on SSG's side to get this one over the finish line, even if Mowgli and Deadshot are having two of the best matches we've seen them play in, not even seen them play much lately, but a long time, Tim.
Pressure is really mounting on Ashen here, but he is soaking it up like a sponge. And look at that! He takes down one, and he gets a second on the jump out. That is a huge play from Ashen. He was pressured from every which way inside a cocktail. There were flashes, there were drones, there was utility, but he got himself a double out of nowhere. However, Wolves, they've come back into it, Des, and this has got to be a freebie. Ashen, he's smart. He gets himself away from danger. What a play!
And he's still got away with it as well. Snowdoor wasn't available, so he goes, all right, guys, I'll just go down to the forest. No problem to me, because every player was on the upstairs. P4 looks slightly the wrong way, leaves that angle with his crosshair half a second too soon and pays the price. The march on forward continues. One more goes down to red stairs. Deadshot knows there's a player inside a train. I imagine he does. Does he see his man? I think he knows he's there, but he's got to find the angle. Will just about get it, but he's still got Ashen and Hot and Cold to go through with 60 seconds to play, Tim.
It's all on Deadshot's shoulders at the minute. 12-8 he is in terms of kills and deaths. He's had a pretty good game overall on Cafe, but this could just be an ask too far. Ashen, super low health. It's Be a breath away from death, realistically. If Deadshot can even
bro.
graze him, he'll get the job done, but he's got the second man, and it's hot and cold, and he's got drones, Des. He can feed that information in. They know exactly. The red ping is there. They've got everything they need, and surely it's a matter of time until SSG close this one out.
Oh, gets the one. Can he find the next as well? What a clutch this would be. And a pivotal one, because they're on the attacking side, Tim. He's going to try and stick it. Hot and Cold has been in a 1v1 already once this map against Bibu. And Deadshot pulls it off! That is what you need to win this map. An attacking round win. And SSG are going to be distraught they've let that one slip, Tim.
They really will. At the point when Ashen goes out of that window, gets the 2 kills, you're 5 versus 3, you're thinking SSG have done this, they're getting the momentum, and then Wolves, they scrap back into it. But once again, SSG find themselves 2 versus 1 then, and the advantage. But Deadshot takes it on his shoulders and single-handedly scraps his way back in. 2 great gunfights that he wins there. Yes, Ashen was low health, but it is worth pointing out that the kill onto Ashen was a headshot. He wins that fight whether Ashen is low health or not. You've got to remember that. So great play from Deadshot there to win the 1v2 when Wolves needed it most.
Just absolutely. It was a 1v3 as well, let's not forget, because he got the player in train as well, I guess. Yeah, and turned it from there, but...
Yeah.
Just bonkers. I mean, Deadshot's a player that has had a difficult year. Obviously, relatively new to the team as well, and we haven't seen him flourish the way that many would have hoped. But if they look back at this later in the tournament and say, that 1v3 from Deadshot kept us in Cafe, we went on to win Consulate and therefore take the win over SSG.
5 seconds left.
It gave us a seed against a different team, or even potentially avoid eliminations. Nothing's guaranteed here at SI. That could be the moment they look back on and say, not quite saved the tournament, but really got them further than maybe they expected to. What a start.
See Deadshot's feeling himself now, getting himself up to the windows. Have a little look, see if he can continue that aggression. But at 14 and 8, you wouldn't deny him the opportunity. It's gone well for him so far. Back on the Mozzie that we saw him playing earlier as well. So SSG, it is now or never if they want to win this 2-0. Otherwise, they'll find themselves going to that 3rd map.
Let's not forget, Deadshot started this map 0 and 3 as well.
Yeah.
Remember he got those 2 kills? You're like, oh, finally he's arrived in the game in round 4. He's only gone from strength to strength throughout the map. Yes, Mowgli's got quieter. He was the defense hero for the side of Wolves, but really Deadshot has been the difference maker to keep them in it in the second half. Now we're back on that defensive side though. Mowgli's the one who you'd expect to awaken and really start doing some damage again.
Ronin will continue from SSG just briefly. J9 all concerned about the bottom of White Stairs. Now then, Drone is going to be captured by Deadshot, but don't think he's going to be rushing to take a peek out of that white door because, of course, having lost the drone, anybody's checking them on the side of SSG, they're going to call that out. They're going to know that there's a presence at the bottom of White Stairs.
Mowgli's the one planting his feet with the pea shooter, that MPX at distance. Not really great damage, but when you can hit headshots like Mowgli can, who really cares? They're going to be the starting focus. As you said, Tim, they've got to work their way across top and then get down a floor onto the actual site itself. So far, Wolves quite well spread. You can see the outlines as well as where P4's playing around train. Quite isolated as individuals, at least for now. SSG don't know that, and half of the round has gone, Tim.
P4 knows that he's been drawn out. He tries to take out the utility, but doesn't want to overexpose himself. SSG have got Hot and Cold just sneaking through the ground level at this point. He could well move up round the stairs. If he does, he's going to be in trouble, so needs to be just cautious of that. But SSG now getting themselves locked into that top floor. Look at this. The hunt is on. He's looking for Deadshot. He knows he's above him on White Stairs. I don't think Deadshot's aware of the Nox presence. If he comes around the corner here, he's going to lose his life. Surely, yes. I think he's just picked up on some sound there. Oh, there's the barbed wire. Perfectly placed. That's going to keep Deadshot alive. But Forrest, he manages to find Mowgli.
Great. C4 comes out and Deadshot turns down. He's feeling it, Tim. Finds a second kill in the round. And now once again, Wolves are back on a numbers advantage. Even Bibu's getting involved, Tim. They've pulled the 2 rounds over. SSG will be kicking themselves for that round 13. But Wolves take us into map 3.